The Hot Pot. This is our show, or the show where you can tune in to hear what we have cooking across Asia, where we play nothing but Asian music and talk about all things Asia. And today is a very special day because we are joined by a fourth person, very exciting guest that we have, Olympian, future Olympian, I should say, representative of Canada, who is going to be competing, I guess, in the Tokyo 2021 Olympics.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed.
So, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Jeremy, and I play table tennis for the Canadian national team, and I have qualified for the Tokyo 2021 Olympic Games, which is hopefully gonna happen next year. So far, the news is that it is gonna happen, so let's hope it stays that way.
Ping pong, table tennis, whatever you want to call it. It's a very Asian game.
Yes, actually it is.
It's very in line with the theme of our radio show, isn't it, Mac?
I mean, the fact that it's very Asian, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you could say we like to, I don't know, serve each other some quips every now and then. I don't know. I'm trying to make some ping pong puns, but anyways. So 2021 Tokyo. So yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe if the Olympics, if they're having trouble still, by the time that happens, maybe it can be a virtual Olympics. I don't know.
Imagine that, an online table tennis, like a Wii Sports online.
Wii Sports.
Yeah, Wii Sports, that would be cool.
Yikes.
And aside from talking about the Olympics, today we're also going to be listening to a lot of very interesting Cantonese, or Chinese pop music that was recommended, of course, by our good friend Jeremy. So we're excited to listen to that as well. But my question is, because this is kind of the everyman's Asian radio show, I guess. And so maybe not everybody's super aware of what the sport of table tennis is. And I know everybody kind of has a gist of what it's like because, it's a sport, it's a game that a lot of people will just play kind of casually, but it's not a sport that a lot of people, especially here in Canada, are super knowledgeable about. So, Jeremy, if you could give us a few sentences that kind of describe the sport of table tennis to like a regular Canadian audience in a way that makes it seem like
Professional.
how do you say this? In a way that makes it sound very hype.
Yeah, hype it up.
Okay, the best way I can say it is imagine tennis being played on a table. A smaller version of tennis where the ball is much smaller, it moves much faster. The equipment in table tennis is also much smaller. And we have a scoring system of 11 points for each set, each game. And the whole match would be either best of 5 or a best of 7. So first to either 3 or 4 sets wins, depending on the event. So table tennis matches they usually could last anywhere from 25 to 50 minutes or even an hour sometimes at the longest. But the majority of the matches go from 25 to 45 minutes. That's the best way possible I can describe it as a hype sport. Just think of a smaller version of tennis.
So it's like tennis, but smaller and
Definitely.
possibly cheaper. So it's way better, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
I think it's better because you don't have to run around.
But actually, the footwork in table tennis is actually much faster than tennis. Even though tennis is more like running, but table tennis, you have to do the proper footsteps. If you just do randomly running in table tennis, it doesn't work out. You have to kind of measure each step. It's kind of like in soccer, how they use small steps, the quick feet and small steps.
Yeah, and I definitely think that table tennis as a sport is not really that big here in Canada.
Definitely.
When we think of table tennis, a lot of people in Canada don't even really know that it's an Olympic sport. But of course, if you take a flight over to Asia, if you go to Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, or China, table tennis is huge over there, right? And so my question is you're going well, you have a history of competing at the national and international level of table tennis. And so just kind of talk to us about that a little bit, the difference in between table tennis as a sport here in North America and Asia and I guess Europe as well.
I would say the main difference is actually in Asia or even in Europe and Asia specifically. Table tennis is actually a profession. So people do it, the athletes, they do it as a full-time job. They're full-time professional athletes. Whereas in North America, we don't really see the sport in a professional manner. So we go to school and we play as a part-time. But in Asia, they do it as their daily profession.
So then, Jeremy, you in Canada now, like, are you currently a student and then do ping pong part time, or?
No, at the moment, I'm not attending any university. I'm actually going professional. We don't have a lot of full-time professional players here in Canada, but I am one of them. So I
Wow.
eventually will be going to university. Hopefully after the Olympic Games, which I focus as my main goal at the moment. But eventually I will be going.
You know how sometimes there's like those weird classes where on the first day they're like, "Hey, so what did you do this summer?" You could tell everyone, just be like, "Oh yeah, I just I competed in the Olympics for Canada." Yeah,
Yeah, I could say that technically, yeah.
I don't know.
That's
I
gonna
always
be
say that,
very-
like before I used to say, what did you do this summer? I traveled the world to play some competitions, you know. Usually that's how it was when I was in high school or elementary school. Those were how my summers went.
And so of course the Olympics are going to be held in Tokyo, but you've trained in China as well, isn't that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, so talk to us a little bit about that, of what training in professional sports is like in a country like China, where like professional sports is supported a lot more by the government directly. Because I find that here in North America, a lot of professional athletes are kind of left to be supported by their coaches, by their teams, by themselves, by the pay they get from their prizes and whatever. But I know that in Asia, especially countries like China, the government has a full department that dedicates itself to supporting their professional athletes. So just talk to us a little bit about that, the training in China.
The training in China is definitely better, not only in the sense of training hours. They have a lot of hours of training in China, you know, and quantity, and they also have quality. They have all the aspects of any sport. They have a lot of training hours and a lot of different kinds of players who they do it as a full-time profession to play table tennis. And in China, you can learn a lot. Also, the environment is much better. When I'm training, I'd be training in a group of 40 people in the whole facility. Whereas in Canada, I'm only training on one table and there's nobody beside me. That's my level. So I can really push myself based on the environment around me. We're all fighting to improve each other.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Just some things you've said so far. Like you've kind of talked about how in Asia and in Europe also, there's just a much bigger interest in ping pong as a whole, and so you get more
Yeah.
support that way. And I found like I've heard the same thing with a lot of other sports as well. Kind of how like North America, the interest level is only really high for just like a small selection of sports, whereas yeah, Europe and Asia, they just tend to like embrace like all sorts of different things a lot more. Like martial arts even is really big in Asia or Europe as well, whereas here it's
Oh.
you know it's quite a bit smaller. So
Yeah, for sure.
do you have any like idea as to why that might be, why the interest levels like just not that high here compared to these other regions?
It's probably just by region. Every sport or every country has their own preference. You know, like in Canada, we play hockey, right? Whereas in Asia, it's not that widely popular as it is in Canada. I think it's just our location thing. That's just how it naturally was.
Sure.
for sure.
Yeah. Do you think it has anything to do with space as well?
Space, not really. I think just that's how demographically, that's how it just was, you know.
Okay.
Some sports are more common in this area of the world. Other sports are more common in other regions, unless it's like soccer or basketball, where the whole world, they all play it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just remember when I was living in Japan, I just remember having a lot more opportunities to play ping pong. Just because, I mean, you can just have a ping pong table, leave it in your closet for a while, and just pull it out whenever you need it. Whereas, like in Canada, there's basketball courts, like just like really accessible. I found like at schools, churches, and like in Japan, you just didn't have those things, but everyone had a ping pong table. So
Yeah, that's true. Even in China, public parks, they have tables outside,
oh, no way.
like community center, like where they have swings and where, yeah, it's part of many community centers in China, actually. So it's very, very popular there. It's their main sport.
Wow.
Yeah, I kind of saw a bit of that in when I was living in Japan as well. Like there was one park that was somewhat near my house that had a table tennis table in the park, but you had to go and rent like the racket and a ball for like 200 yen, which would be like $2 or whatever. But I think it's because of how accessible it is, maybe in Asia. Maybe that's also why it's a lot more popular over there than it is here. And that might also be the reason. But Tokyo 2021, it's going to be a very different Olympic season, I feel, obviously because of the COVID issue that has taken over the world. But what are you expecting for Tokyo 2021? What countries are you looking out for? What countries do you think are going to be underdogs in the sport of table tennis?
Oh, underdogs. Uh, at the moment, for sure, obviously Canada and the US, South America, Latin America, and even Europe, I would say. Compared to China, it looks like every other country is looked at as an underdog when you compare it to how many medals China has won in the previous Olympic Games. So even though the gap may be coming closer between Europe and China, I think the edge is still on China right now, and everybody else is seen as the underdogs. But Japan also, they have a lot of good upcoming players in Japan. And since they're the host country, they may have some momentum in the games.
Right, because in preparation for this interview, I did a little bit of research and I looked at table tennis in the Olympics, and I found out that in the men's division of table tennis, the silver and bronze medal every once in a while will go to countries like Japan, South Korea. Germany is actually pretty strong in the field of table tennis, but the gold medal, first place in men's singles, doubles, and in also this is also pretty similar in women's singles and doubles. But the gold medal has gone to China for the past like 10 Olympics in a row.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy when you think about how dominant China is in the sport of table tennis, isn't it?
I have a question for you, Jeremy. Have you ever seen the Japanese animation called Pingpong, the animation?
Not yet, actually.
Not yet. Have you heard of it?
A little bit, but not too much.
It's really good.
It's pretty cool, but
Okay.
it in there, like China's kind of revered as like the big powerhouse. So that's where a lot of my ping pong knowledge comes from.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes place in Japan, but yeah, everyone's like,
Wow.
oh, the Chinese. Ooh, so
And
right
also,
on.
one thing that I think gets overlooked a lot, especially here in North America, is the strategy that goes into table tennis. For all of our listeners, I really recommend you to go watch some table tennis from the last Olympics or even just from like the latest international tournaments or whatever, because there's a lot of strategy in there. A lot of stuff that you don't expect to be a big thing in table tennis, like spin and whatever. And so, Jeremy, what can you say to us and the audience about the strategies that are in table tennis that we wouldn't really think of if we weren't into the sport?
Wow. There are actually a lot of different kinds of strategies in table tennis. All the professional players, we can all hit forehands, backhands, no problem. It looks amazing. We can all move really fast. But what really wins you the match is the strategy, where you place the ball, what kinds of spin you put on the ball, especially from serving. If you're serving underspin, no spin, top spin, long, short, half long, how you're trying to tricking the opponent to being as unpredictable as possible. That's definitely very important. It's a very strategized sport.
Yeah, I remember when I was in Japan, there was one very famous kind of sports commentator who said that table tennis is basically playing a chess match while also driving at 130 kilometers per hour. And I
Yeah,
think
Oh,
that it's actually very accurate to the sport is very accurate to that saying. So
that's true for sure. It is actually.
Right on. So, Jeremy, you're currently one of the few professional ping pong players in Canada, and I'm guessing you probably have a sponsor or two as a professional. Because the Tokyo Olympics have been delayed, has it been difficult, would you say, finding a sponsor or I guess keeping a sponsor?
Uh, at the moment, it hasn't. I've been able to keep the sponsors I've got before. So, uh, it's not really like some sponsorships that I have are basically extended until after the Olympic Games, especially being qualified for the Olympics. So they don't want to lose you. They want to keep you and try to sign some deals that are beneficial for both parties.
That's awesome. Yeah, really happy to hear that. I've heard some stories just like online where like some Olympic athletes unfortunately lost their sponsorships because of the delay. And yeah, it's can't
Yeah, I
yeah.
keep my sponsorships the same for many years. So like Butterfly, for example, is the kind of equipment I use for table tennis. They're actually the most popular brand of equipment, table tennis equipment in the world, and I've been sponsored by them since 2011. So it's been 9 years. So
Okay.
definitely, uh, I kept them, and I still use their equipment when I'm training. Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. So everyone keep that in mind, Butterfly.
Yes, Butterfly.
expensive. But you kind of mentioned that you've been sponsored by them for a really long time. And that brings me to my next question is just kind of talk to us a little bit about your history with the sport of table tennis. Like how old were you when you started? Why did you start? When did you get to the international level? When did you qualify for the Olympics? Just kind of talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. I started in about around 2008, December of 2008, for fun, recreationally, just like many other people have in North America or in Canada, to be specific. We all start recreationally. And yeah, my parents basically they just dropped me off there once per week to take some lessons as a beginner. And I just started playing and playing. And it turns out I actually like the sport a lot when I first started. So I played some tournaments. I started beating some people who I weren't supposed to beat. And somehow my parents thought, you know what, we're going to do some research. Why not think about taking this seriously? Or more like at the Ontario provincial level. Yeah. Slowly in the provincial level. Then it got to the national level and eventually international level. So it kind of happened really slowly, but I never thought I would be professional when I started playing sport.
Yeah, and also, Mac, you were surprised to hear this, but you're actually younger than any one of us, Jeremy. So to us, it's pretty incredible that you've been able to qualify for the Olympics and do all this crazy stuff before you're like 25 or whatever. But you were
Yeah.
pretty young though, right? Well, how old are
Yeah.
you?
Oh, at the moment I'm 20, turning 21 next year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's whew, man.
wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's incredible.
Mhm.
So I guess going along with age, so I don't know if this really applies to ping pong so much in terms of like Olympic competition, but do ping pong players usually peak at a certain age?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so like,
It really depends on the kind of athlete or how many hours they put in. Some people they peak actually really early, which is not considered good, because some players they peak when they're 15, 16. When they get older, they don't have that much room for improvement. Some players, the majority of players, I would say, in their early to mid 20s, actually. A lot of players they peak late.
so
Some even peak.
you're one of
Say
the
that
older.
again.
Are you one of the older competitors then for the Olympics?
No, I'm for sure one of the youngest, if not
Okay.
the youngest. I wouldn't say I'm the youngest, but one of the youngest for sure. Some athletes they peak in their late 20s, so it's really different. The good thing about table tennis is everybody peaks at a different period. For example, China, all the players they peak very early, because if they don't peak early, there's going to be younger players to replace them because there's just so many players there and the demand is much higher. But in places like Canada, US, or even Europe, players peak at different kinds of ages.
And one thing that I think is very interesting about the sport as well is that it's actually a very safe sport to play, because when you talk about like the age at which you peak, like a top athletic performance age, all that kind of stuff, when we look at some other sports like football, boxing, MMA, those kinds of sports, you might peak when you're in like your late 20s, but after that, your body just can't take it anymore. But I've seen in the world of table tennis a lot of people who compete at a very high level into their 40s, just because it's a sport that allows you to kind of stay healthy and keep your body like functioning.
Yeah.
But I guess going back to the whole topic of competing internationally, especially in Asia, because this is a radio show all about Asia, what have been
Yeah.
some of your favorite places in Asia to compete in or train in or whatever?
Favorite places? Wow. There would be a lot. Because I've been to Japan before. I've competed in Hong Kong before. Definitely China, obviously, because they're the most impressive when it comes to facility. They really take the sport really seriously and try to set it up in the best way possible. I've also played in Thailand, so it'd be hard to say, but I would definitely say like for sure, kind of like China and Hong Kong. Definitely, they're my favorite. Not only the city, but in terms of the event and how it's organized, it was really spectacular how they organized those two events. The audience, the halls, they were just incredible.
And because this show is called The Hot Pot, we talk a lot about food. I feel like every other show we end up talking about McDonald's for like whatever. So, Jeremy, what's your favorite Asian food?
Oh,
Is there one in
I have
mind?
many, but I would say my most favorite would be Peking duck.
Yeah,
Definitely.
good man.
That's actually a classic for many people. They love eating it, and that has always been my favorite.
It's so good. It's
Yeah,
so
I
good.
know. It's really good.
Yeah, that's something I might get for like a birthday or something. It's only for special occasions, but yeah, I love the Peking duck.
Yeah. It was meant to be like a food for like certain events or yeah. But I love it. Every time I eat it, I love it. It's so good. It's very crispy, tender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
In Toronto, actually, here we have really good Peking duck. Really good because we have a big Asian community here.
Actually, I don't think I've ever had it.
Why, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think
feel
I've
like
had
I
it
might have.
either, but it sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've had a lot of like kind of Hong Kong Chinese food. Well, because I was there for a while, but I don't think I ever had Peking duck or whatever. So
Yeah, it's very common. You can find it anywhere in
It-
China or Hong Kong.
You can get it here in our city too.
can you?
Yeah, most of the Chinese places have it.
Oh, didn't
Even
know.
even Hiroba serves duck.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
Only like one day a week or something they serve it. But yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
So
And of course,
good
because-
taste, Jeremy.
And because this is a show, of course, where we listen to what we have cooking across Asia, obviously it's all about Asian music. Jeremy, you've recommended a lot of music in the Cantonese language. And you've recommended a lot of music that is a bit more on the retro side of things. So talk to us a little bit about the Hong Kong music scene that you like listening to.
Oh, I normally like listening to Hong Kong 1990s music. Hong Kong cantopop, Cantonese pop music, actually was at a peak in the 90s. You had singers selling out 20 nights of concerts back to back, even 30 nights. It was a really crazy era. You had all these different kinds of singers perform in Hong Kong. And even to this day, of course, cantopop is really special because you can see it is actually kind of slowly, I hate to say it, but it's actually kind of slowly fading away, you know, as we're getting more modern. But cantopop was really big in the 1990s across all of Asia and actually across the Chinese population of the world. A lot of cantopop concerts were held in Canada and US, and they're still held today.
That's wicked. Yeah. I mean, I'm not too familiar with cantopop. I think the only artist I really know is Fei Wang.
Okay. I like her a lot.
Most of her music was in the 90s. And like she's originally from mainland China, but like I think she started off doing cantopop and then she kind of switched to like Mandarin.
Yeah, Fei Wang is definitely, if not the most popular female singer, a Chinese singer, even now till today. She can sell out any concert if she comes out, and she has fans from the mainland. She has her original fans when she started off in Hong Kong. So yeah, she's really big still. And I listen to her music all the time. I like her a lot. She's one of my favorites, actually.
Yeah, she's good. Do you ever listen to her daughter?
Yeah, I think her daughter sings more like English songs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, her style's quite a bit different, but I guess like Fei Wang doesn't, I don't think, make a lot of music anymore.
No,
So
she's not active.
I found like her daughter's kind of like I don't know, her like
The torch.
the modern, the torch. Just passed on the torch.
Yeah.
Olympic torch.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't listen to her music very often, but I know about her.
Okay. Yeah, she's pretty interesting. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know. I listened to the songs you'd recommended, and I think my personal favorite. I don't really know how to say it in Chinese, but I know the translation is like I was born in Beijing.
Oh, that's a very good song. Good choice.
Yeah, I thought that one was really cool. Like I'm a big fan of like 80s synth pop, and so that had a lot of like similarities to that.
Yeah, actually, the reason I actually put that song as one of the songs, because I listen to hundreds of cantopop songs, but the reason I actually included that song inside it is because that song was actually one of kind of like a transition in cantopop, kind of more to like techno pop, you know. Cantopop style would kind of be like slow music, right? Classical music, but the transformation of that kind of music to techno pop, a little bit faster songs. So the song I Was Born in Beijing was definitely a big hit when it first came out. That song came out in the early 90s, 1991, if I was being exact. But yeah, that was a very famous song. And actually, there's another song that I listed there is also a big trademark, also sang by Leon Lai.
Yes. I can't read these, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now on my screen.
Yeah, these are very popular songs before and even now.
So, Jeremy, like, were you born in Canada or were you born?
Yes, I was born in Canada.
Okay. And then your parents are from Hong Kong?
My mom is.
Your mom's from Hong Kong. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you get a lot of this music from your parents then? You just
I would
kind of passed
say
it to you?
a big portion. My grandparents, my parents, mainly my grandparents, I would say, because they're the ones who pass on the tradition. And my mom always used to go to cantopop concerts when I was younger. She used to always take me. I've been to some concerts when I was 7 years old, and they were all cantopop concerts. Of course, she attends other concerts in English, but she brought me along to the cantopop, because cantopop is kind of more like family-oriented music. It doesn't matter what kind of generation you are. You're in your teens, you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s. There's always going to be audiences that are different ages. That's what's so special about cantopop.
Yeah, it definitely sounds pretty wholesome. Like a lot of ballads and stuff. So yeah, it seems like something any age could listen to, any generation.
Yeah.
So just you could probably go to like karaoke with your grandparents with this type of music.
Oh yeah.
Like,
A lot of people, they actually do that in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, karaoke is a very popular in Asia.
yeah, you and your grandma are singing the same songs. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
sometimes actually.
That'd be fun.
Not very often, but some of the songs. I don't listen to that kind of that's a little bit older music, but I would say that the 1990s is definitely more modern. The transition of cantopop, they were trying to make it as modern as possible. And actually, if you listen to the cantopop music now, actually you will see that it's becoming more and more modernized. But the problem is, the more modernized cantopop is, it kind of loses its identity. That's why many younger generations in Hong Kong, they go to K-pop, because that's more appealing to them.
I hear you. All right. Well, Jeremy, hey, thank you so much for joining us today. It looks like we're basically out of time now, but I've really enjoyed this discussion. I've learned a bit. I'm not a big ping pong guy myself, so this was very insightful, and hopefully those listening also found it quite interesting.
Good luck in the Olympics, of course.
Thank you.
Good luck.
I will do my best at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, and everyone, fingers crossed that they actually happen.
Yes.
In 2021. But
yes.
Yeah, we'll definitely be watching.
Okay, that's good. I'll keep you guys updated.